this happening, obviously, when the sun went down. So here it is, 7:36, the relatively new picture.
Winds also causing some massive power outages, about 9,000 outages according to NSTAR, 11,000 according to National Grid, and some widespread outages both on the Vineyard and Nantucket there. So, Harvey, right now, what are we seeing as far as the gusts? Is it a lot higher on the coastal areas right now?
Definitely the very highest is along the coast, particularly the Cape so far. Of course, the Cape is closest to the storm as it comes up the coast, going to eventually wind up the center of the storm in a position like this tomorrow morning. But remember, it's a big circulation, so it's still going to be incredibly windy all day tomorrow. Even after the snow stops tomorrow afternoon, the winds will be ferocious. But look at this. These are just the gusts in the past hour. I just checked a special report from Nantucket. Now they have a gust back up to 59 miles per hour. That's the second time we have seen that. And, of course, now we understand power is out. I think we just got a report that, don't know about all of the Vineyard, but some of the Vineyard is also without power because their gusts are very similar to what's going on in Nantucket. Of course, they're the islands. They're exposed, obviously, to a situation like this. But Chatham's over 50 miles an hour, and Provincetown is over 50 miles an hour. But remember, Falmouth is almost 50, and Plymouth is almost 50 miles an hour. And as the storm gets a little bit closer, it stands to reason that the gusts that are just about 40 miles an hour in Boston, Worcester has some elevation at the airport, is going to get stronger. And you see how widespread the winds are. So everybody's involved with the wind with regard to this. So there's no way around that aspect of this storm. And again, the storm's still intensifying, so it does figure the winds may have not reached their peak yet. And it's a long duration of wind as well. The other aspect is the snow and the type of snow it is. If you're talking about areas like Taunton and down toward New Bedford and across to Plymouth, it has been a very heavy, wet, pasty snow, very difficult to move around. The average amounts of snow on the ground in this area, about a half a foot. It has started to mix now close to Falmouth, and the rest of the Cape has either mixed or changed over to rain. So at least for the time being, it appears the significant accumulations have stopped on the Cape. But as that changeover line tries to come north and west, it's bumping into this real cold air. It's only going to come a certain distance, and I don't see it coming to Boston. Just to let you know about the blizzard warning that's in effect and why it is, because if you have frequent wind gusts over 35 miles an hour for at least 3 or more hours, I mean, we're already checkmarking that, and you have falling snow, blowing snow, or drifting snow. You don't have the drifting where it's wet, but where it's dry you do in the further inland locations for Boston north and west. Any combination of that causes the visibility to be below a quarter of a mile, and you have blizzard conditions for 3 hours or more. And at times, when the very heaviest of snow bands come through, combined with this kind of wind, it's going to create near whiteout conditions, and it can, at least for a while, paralyze travel. So that's why we're telling you there's really no point in trying to go out in a storm like this. And even if you get in between snow bands and you go, oh, gee, it doesn't look like it's snowing so hard, you know, just give it a few minutes or a half hour and you'll be right back in another incredible band of snow. Here's some late reports that have come in recently, and you can see the snowfall amounts that we're talking about. It is piling up. There's no question about it. Farther inland, it's a lighter, drier, fluffy snow, but along the coast, it is heavy and wet. It's piling up in all the locations experiencing it, and the storm goes all the way down. The center of the storm is like in this position, and it's going to kind of move like this. So the entire snow area moves with it. But as the storm strengthens, the bands of snow get more intense, and we have a long way to go. I can see accumulating snow till about noontime tomorrow with this storm. And during the overnight period and for part of tomorrow morning, at times in the heavier bands, there could be 1 to 3 inch snow accumulations. We've even had some reports of lightning a while ago in some of the heavy snow bands, which you can get sometimes in these very, very intense storms. Here you see the attempt of some mixing down toward the Cape, but it's still all snow here in the Boston area, as it will stay that way, and off to the west and to the north. So I talked about these bands of snow that it could keep rotating in as the storm goes in this position. And finally, when the storm gets far enough to the east, which is not going to occur until tomorrow afternoon, then the bands will get lighter, it'll turn to flurries, and finally, as we get to later tomorrow afternoon, we might even see some breaks in the clouds, particularly off to the west. So our best estimate is we're talking about anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow from Boston to Providence and all areas west to north until you get, I mean, way west to north. For example, this is not a northern Vermont snowstorm, only a little bit of snow for them. But southern New Hampshire, southern Maine, all of coastal Maine, central New Hampshire, even out to the Berkshires are involved. And by the way, New York City is also experiencing blizzard conditions. They have frequent wind gusts over 40 miles an hour, heavy snow. And temperatures are very cold in New York. They're actually averaging in the low 20s right now. They're on the cold side of the storm. So they're involved big time as well.
All right. Well, hopefully people take that advice. They stay indoors. And obviously travel is not, easy anywhere.
No.
And sometimes it's not going to happen at all. Like Logan, it's done.
Phil Orlandello's on the phone with us right now. So, Phil, what is up with Logan at this hour?
Well, the airport is open, but unfortunately it's not many flights. I think there's a couple of inbound and maybe 4 or 5 outbound. Plus, for the day, many airlines have canceled many flights throughout the day, in the hundreds. So
now here's the million-dollar question. What do people do who are expecting to get out today? Can they get out tomorrow? I mean, maybe you can't answer that question. Maybe that's not fair.
I think I can answer that question. I think people need to call their airlines directly, because obviously there's not a lot of aircraft here to handle tomorrow's morning flights. They have to bring them in. I'll give you an example. Delta has just told me that their first flight tomorrow won't go until 2 p.m.
Delta told you that, right?
Yep. And some of the other carriers are about the same. So people need to check on their flight tomorrow and rebook.
Folks, just to give you a reference point, what you're looking at there is the Rose Kennedy Greenway, which looks like the dark way right now because you can barely see it down there. But Phil, we've been showing the weather around the area, and it's quite obvious what it can do. How many people are at the airport? I mean, is it Hotel California or is it a ghost town?
No, well, it's a little bit. There's more people than just the ghost town. There's probably maybe 100 people here. We've ordered some cots for some people in A and some people in E who chose to spend the night.
And you know how fun that can be. But you know what? You're dealing with the weather, and you're dealing with the weather, and that's okay. So
yeah, it's something we can't control.
And just to sum it up, you're expecting some planes to land, but then that's going to be it for operation, right?
Basically, there's really nothing happening here. I think there's 6 flights trying to get out, and I use the word trying.
And
but that hasn't happened yet.
All right, Phil Orlandello, thank you so much, and stay warm. I appreciate the information tonight as Logan and everyone is dealing with it. There really isn't anything you can do it, and we're used to it, and we know that it does come, but it gets very frustrating, especially if you're
on a cot.
If you're on a cot in the middle of the airport, yeah.
And some people, though, have been able to get outside and show us some of the images that are happening in your neighborhood, on your streets. This one right here is in Kingston. You can see the snow there, whipping the flag around. If you are safe, if you're hunkered down for the night, we would love to see some of these images coming in. And we're also going to, continue to bring you those throughout the night. And Harvey is saying this could be a top 10 all-time storm. And we're reminiscing just a little bit, sharing some images of other memorable storms. Of course, everyone knows the 78, but how about this? Situate back in 2005 there, as you can see, the coast taking the brunt of this. And again, a big concern for the coastal areas tonight, especially in Gloucester. Sean Kelly's been up there along the ocean wall where the high tide set to hit at 3:30 in the morning.
The water from that storm was just incredible. And, Mike Wonkum, we're not looking at scenes similar to this, do you think?
I don't think so, but we had a lot of damage that took place even just earlier this week when we had that storm offshore. I'm looking at this area. It looks like we're kind of looking like the numbered streets, which is one of the areas that we're really concerned with too.
So I see over your shoulder snow so far. Middleborough's got over 5 inches.
Yeah. You know what, Ed? if we've got a second here, I'm not sure exactly. Let me show you. One of the things that I love about our radar is that we can do so many things with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, if you bear with me as we go along here, I'm actually going to take a look at the East Coast. We're going to zoom into this area right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pressure plots up. Now this will tell you where the center of the storm is right now. See that little circle right there in the middle? It says 990. That's the actual barometric pressure that we're talking with. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some wave heights in here. Let's just see what the waves are doing out there. And these color coordinated. So let me just plot on a couple of things here. Let's just see what these waves are looking like. Those are 22-foot waves right there. And then south of Long Island, that's an 18-foot wave right there. So the waves that we're seeing right now are really relatively small. They're only about 9 feet offshore. But that area of 22-foot waves is going to be moving its way up here.
You anticipated what I was going to ask. We're in the line of fire?
Exactly. That whole thing will be lifting up. And, of course, the timing on that is going to be pretty close to high tide, which is why we are so concerned with, especially Gloucester and Situate. It seems like those are the 2 areas that everyone's most concerned with. But I'd still be concerned about Plum Island. We've got those areas there, the Outer Cape as well. So we've got a lot of wave action that's going to be going on. The ocean's very full right now. We've got some fairly high tides that are going on. So there's lots of things that we're watching and we're monitoring, we're looking at behind the scenes just to see what's going on. And you can see it. We'll actually put it back to just regular radar. I want to show you this little band right here. This is one that's really pretty impressive right now. Just south of Boston, right there, that one right there. Now watch what it does. I'm going to put it in motion for you, and you'll see how it's actually just kind of lifting its way up. Remember we talked about that dry slot that was up there just a little bit ago? See how that's just filled right in? There's just nothing left of it. So these bands come in. Now if you look down towards the Cape though, this is where we're starting to see just that mix over going on now. So if you look right at the Cape, you'll start to see now some rain coming in through that area. Let me just stop the radar from looping here, and we'll just go right down in there. We can actually bring this thing right down. In fact, here, I'll just show you what we can do. One of the things, we were just talking to Phil Orvandello out there at Logan Airport. Right. We can come right in on Logan Airport. We can almost tell you which runway's got the heavy rain and snow going on it. So Logan Airport, located right in there. There's Castle Island. You might recognize the little shape there. We can come right in on that just to see what's going on. And it really just tells us exactly what's happening. These little bleeps that you see right here around Boston, where actually our radar beam is bouncing off the Hancock and the Peru. So that's the reason it shows up there. So it's one of those things that we know about our radar, that there's a little problem with that. But all around it, you can see what we've got. It's this heavy snow that's taking place. And that line is just so impressive right down here, where we're starting to see that changeover taking place. And this is where Harvey's talking about. This is why we're not going to see that whole lot more snow going on to that area. Maybe on the backside of the storm, we'll see some more.
Mike Wacom, thank you so much. He's the king of the telestrator. He knows exactly how to direct the storm and tell you exactly what you're looking at, and that's the information you need to have to plan whatever you do tonight, whatever you do tomorrow.
Hopefully you're not doing too much tonight. The roads have been very bad. We're getting some reports from state police about numerous crashes and spinouts there, especially in the central Massachusetts area. 495 Millbury's been one of the spots there, so very hazardous. Speeds on the Mass Pike reduced to 40 miles an hour, so hopefully you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay here. And News Center 5 will take you right through the night. We're on until midnight as we take a